Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, Sumo fans. I'm Vinny and this is Sumo Files. And my friends, Aonishiki just became the champion of the November Basho, and he did it in unforgettable fashion, defeating Yokozuna and Hoshoryu with a spectacular okurinage in the playoff. It was a historic moment. A 23-year-old from Ukraine fighting a sekiwake, overcoming pressure, expectations, and one of the most skilled Yokozuna of the modern era. And beyond the Yusho itself, this tournament sealed his legacy. He broke past the 11-win barrier that shadowed him since his Makuuchi debut, earned both the Shukunsho and Ginosho, and delivered one of the most compelling campaigns in recent memory. But to understand the weight of his triumph, we need to revisit the remarkable journey that brought him here. Danilo Yavusishin was born in March 23 of 2004 in Ukraine, where he first tried sumo at 7 years old, mixing it with freestyle wrestling and judo, and his talent quickly became obvious. By 17, he was an undefeated 3-time national champion and a bronze medalist at the 2019 World Junior Championships. The speed of the bouts fascinated him early. Also, a video of Takanohana vs Asashoryu of 2002 later sparked his interest in professional sumo, but at the time it still felt like something distant. That dream accelerated unexpectedly in 2022. After the Russian invasion forced him to leave Ukraine, he went to Japan by following a connection with Arata Yamanaka, Kansai University's sumo club captain, who helped him to live, train, and adapt in Japan. He trained at Kansai University and Hokuto Gakuen High School despite not having student status, and his level stood out immediately. Through these training circles, he met Ajigawa Oyakata, who initially hesitated to take a foreign recruit, but ultimately recognized the young wrestler's potential. So in December 2022, Yavusishin officially joined Ajigawa Beia as one of its very first members, becoming Aonishiki Arata. Aonishiki being a reference to the blue in the Ukrainian flag, and Arata attributes to his great friend Arata Yamanaka. From the moment he stepped into the dojo in September of 2023, Aonishiki accelerated quickly. His amateur base translated seamlessly, and he tore through the lower divisions before delivering one of the strongest judo stretches in recent years, bulldozing through the division with a 10-5 and a 12-3. That momentum carried into Makuuchi, where his consistency became even more striking. Double-digit wins in every single Makuuchi tournament, sansho after sansho, creative kimarich, and above all, the distinct feeling that he could beat anyone on any given day. 2025 crystallized a new storyline in sumo, the three-way dynamic between Aonishiki, Onosato, and Hoshoryu. Onosato, the young Yokozuna who usually beat Aonishiki, Hoshoryu, the technical master that was able to defeat Onosato, and Aonishiki, the relentless challenger who always found a way to conquer Hoshoryu. And nothing captured this rivalry better than the November Basho. Aonishiki's run in this tournament was anything but straightforward, and that's exactly what made it so special. He started strong. In the first 4 days, he defeated Kirishima, Wakamotoharu, Hakuoho, and Takanosho with a blend of power and adaptability that showed he was in peak form. But on day 5 came the shock. Wakatakakage caught him with a henka. The community hated it, and Aonishiki himself took it hard, but rather than let it break him, he treated it as a lesson. A reminder that at this level, the Tachi-ai must always be approached with absolute vigilance. Then came the recovery. Ura, defeated. Takayasu, overpowered. Oho, shut down. Hiradoumi, controlled from start to finish. Yet, despite the momentum, Onosato remained undefeated at the top. It felt like the Yokozuna was already walking towards another expected Yusho, until day 10 changed everything. Aonishiki beat Tamawashi, but the real shock came moments later. Onosato was toppled by Yoshinofuji, giving the entire Basho new life. Ironically, the next day, Yoshinofuji ended up defeating Aonishiki as well, a blow that seemed to damage his chances. And on the very same day, Onosato fell again, this time to Takanosho, a Komusubi who was 2-8 at that point. Suddenly, the leaderboard exploded. Aonishiki, Onosato and Hoshoryu were tied. The Tatsunami Yokozuna, once dismissed after early stumbles, was back in the hunt. This set up a three-way sprint towards the final stretch. On day 13, Aonishiki met Onosato and lost. Many fans wrote him off right there, upset that a mono-e was not called to clarify a decision considered controversial, but Aonishiki refused to disappear. On day 14, he dominated Hoshoryu, while Onosato was defeated by Kotozakura. The entire Yusho race reset once again. Everything would be decided on day 15, Aonishiki vs Kotozakura, Hoshoryu vs Onosato. At least, that was the plan, until Nishonoseki Oyakata announced that Onosato had withdrawn due to a shoulder injury. With that, Hoshoryu would receive a free win, and Aonishiki now had exactly one chance: defeat Kotozakura or watch the Yokozuna win the tournament without fighting. With the pressure at its absolute peak, Aonishiki delivers the defining move of his career, his signature uchimuso, a perfect inside leg sweep to bring down the Ozeki and force a playoff. Then came the final chapter. In the playoff, he overwhelmed Hoshoryu from start to finish, wrapping around the Yokozuna like a vice, catching his balance, and finishing with a clean, powerful okurinage. It was domination, it was historic. It was the day Aonishiki became a Yusho winner, the first Ukrainian to do it. The Yusho ceremony brought another meaningful moment. Aonishiki selected Yoshinofuji as his flag bearer for his championship parade. On the surface, it was a heartfelt way to honor Yoshinofuji's well-earned Ginosho, acknowledging the technical brilliance that defined his tournament. But beneath that was a layered story of lineage and shared identity. The Ajigawa stable, where Aonishiki trains, and the Isegahama stable, home of Yoshinofuji, are considered brother stables. Isegahama began its history as Ajigawa in 1979, only changing the name to Isegahama in 2007 when former Yokozuna Asahifuji, who owned the stable since 1993, acquired this prestigious elder stock. Years later, after retiring in 2019, former sekiwake Aonishiki, himself a product of Isegahama, purchased the Ajigawa stock and revived the stable in 2022, which created a powerful connection between the two stables. The flag was not just ceremonial, it symbolized shared history, mutual respect, and a bond that transcends stable boundaries. Now, back to Aonishiki, there's no debate. He is heading to Ozeki. News of the Ukrainian's promotion began circulating almost immediately after his emphatic victory on day 14. The judging department moved quickly, announcing that they would convene an extraordinary meeting on Senshuraku to formally assess his case for Ozeki. And once he sealed the championship, the process accelerated. The department issued an official recommendation directly to Chairman Hakaku, and the final decision was then placed in the hands of the Sumo Association's board, scheduled to meet on November 26. It felt almost ceremonial, less a question of if he would be promoted and more a recognition of how naturally he had risen to the level of Sumo's second highest rank. Aonishiki's November campaign didn't just reveal a new champion, it revealed the shape of Sumo's future, and now he enters 2026 not only as a Yusho winner, but as a guaranteed Ozeki. Where does he go from here? Maybe a future Yokozuna run? Who knows? But whatever happens, one thing is clear: Aonishiki Arata came to stay. And that's all for today. So if you enjoyed this video, consider liking it, subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you don't miss any future content. That's it guys, until next time!